Imagine this. You are a Russian billionaire. You have $10 billion sitting in a Swiss bank account. You go to sleep feeling safe, secure, wealthy. You wake up the next morning and your money is frozen. Not stolen, not lost, just unreachable. Who did this? The Swiss? No. Your own government? No. America did this. From 5,000 miles away, without firing a single bullet, without a single soldier, without even touching your bank. How? Through something you use every single day and never think about: fiber optic cables. Today, I'm going to show you the most powerful weapon of the 21st century that nobody's talking about. A weapon that doesn't explode, doesn't kill, but can bring entire nations to their knees. A weapon that's being used right now as you watch this video to control trillions of dollars around the world. Welcome to the world of weaponized interdependence. And trust me, after watching this, you'll never look at the internet the same way again. Part 1. The simple foundation. Let's start with something super simple. What is interdependence? Think about your daily life. You depend on the grocery store for food. The grocery store depends on farmers. Farmers depend on seed companies. Everyone depends on everyone else. That's interdependence. We're all connected. Now, here's the key insight. What happens when one person in this chain has special power? Let me give you an example. Imagine there's only one road connecting your town to the rest of the world. Every truck carrying food, medicine, everything has to use this one road. Now imagine that road goes through my property. Suddenly, I have power, don't I? I can decide who gets to use it. I can charge tolls. I can block people I don't like. Even though it's just a road, I control whether your entire town eats or starves. This is weaponized interdependence. When someone controls a choke point that everyone depends on, that choke point becomes a weapon. Now replace road with the global financial system. Replace my property with American territory, and you'll understand how the US has created the most powerful control system in human history. Part 2. The fiber optic reality. Let's talk about how money actually moves in 2025. Here's something that will blow your mind. When you send money internationally, it doesn't physically move. No cash flies on an airplane, no gold bars get shipped. It's all data. Information traveling through fiber optic cables under the ocean, across continents, through specific points called network hubs. Picture the internet like a massive highway system. But this highway system isn't evenly distributed. There are certain cities, certain buildings, certain physical locations where most of the world's internet traffic passes through. These are called Internet Exchange Points, or IXPs. Here's the critical part. The United States controls or has access to the majority of these choke points. Let me give you real numbers to understand the scale. About 95% of intercontinental data travels through undersea cables. The majority of these cables either land on U.S. soil or pass through territories where the U.S. has jurisdiction. Major hubs like New York, Miami, Los Angeles, and Northern Virginia handle enormous percentages of global internet traffic. Why? History. The internet was invented in America. American companies built most of the infrastructure. American tech giants like Google, Amazon, Microsoft run the cloud services that store the world's data. American financial institutions pioneered electronic banking. So, almost every international transaction, almost every piece of financial data, at some point, touches American infrastructure. Part 3. The SWIFT system. Now let's talk about the most important financial highway of them all. SWIFT. SWIFT stands for Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunication. Big, complicated name, but here's what it really means. SWIFT is like the postal service for banks. When a bank in Japan wants to send money to a bank in Germany, they don't call each other. They send a message through SWIFT. SWIFT is the messaging system that tells Bank A, send money to Bank B. Over 11,000 financial institutions in more than 200 countries use SWIFT. Every day, SWIFT handles messages for transfers worth trillions of dollars. Now, here's the weapon part. SWIFT is technically based in Belgium. It's supposed to be neutral, but guess what? Because so many SWIFT messages pass through American communication networks, and because the American dollar is involved in most transactions, America has tremendous influence over SWIFT. Let me give you a real example. Russia in 2022. When Russia invaded Ukraine, the United States and Europe kicked major Russian banks out of SWIFT. Suddenly, these banks couldn't easily send or receive international payments. Russian businesses couldn't pay for imports. Foreign companies couldn't pay Russian suppliers. The Russian economy didn't collapse entirely, but it was severely damaged. Not by bombs, but by being disconnected from financial networks. The message was clear: play by our rules or get cut off from the global economy. But here's what makes this even more powerful. America didn't need Europe to agree. Even if SWIFT itself didn't ban Russia, the US could monitor transactions and punish any bank that deals with sanctioned entities. How? Because the data flows through their networks. Part 4. The technical advantage. Let's get a little technical, but I'll keep it simple. There are 3 layers to American control. Layer 1. Physical infrastructure. Those fiber optic cables I mentioned, many are owned or operated by American companies. When data travels through these cables, it can be accessed, monitored, or blocked at the physical level. The NSA, America's intelligence agency, has programs to tap into these cables directly. Layer 2. Network hubs. Major internet exchange points where data routes through are often on American soil or Allied territory. Northern Virginia has the highest concentration of data centers in the world. Why? Because that's where major government agencies and tech companies are located. If your data passes through Northern Virginia, American authorities can access it. Layer 3. The dollar system. Here's the ultimate choke point. Most global trade happens in US dollars. Why? Trust, stability, and historical momentum. When a Chinese company buys oil from Saudi Arabia, they often trade in dollars. When a European company invests in Brazil, the transaction is usually in dollars. This means American banks process these transactions, and American banks must follow American law. So even if you're not American, if you use dollars, you're playing in America's sandbox with America's rules. Together, these 3 layers create an inescapable net. If America wants to track you, sanction you, or freeze your assets, they have the tools to do it. Part 5. Real-world examples. Let me give you some mind-blowing examples of this in action. Example 1. Iran. For years, Iran has been under heavy sanctions. Iranian banks are cut off from SWIFT. Iranian businesses struggle to do international trade. But here's the thing. Iran still has oil, still has money, still has trade partners. So they've tried to work around it by trading with countries like China and Russia, avoiding dollars entirely. But it's incredibly difficult and expensive. Why? Because even non-dollar transactions often get routed through networks America can monitor. American pressure on third-party countries make them afraid to trade with Iran. The weaponization isn't just direct, it's the fear of being cut off too. Example 2. Chinese companies. Huawei, the massive Chinese tech company, was essentially kneecapped by American sanctions, not because America banned Huawei in China, but because American companies were forbidden from supplying Huawei with critical components and software. Since so much of the global tech supply chain involves American patents, chips, and software, Huawei struggled to build smartphones without American technology. This is economic warfare without firing a shot. Example 3. Venezuela. Venezuela tried to sell oil and gold to survive economic collapse, but American sanctions meant that international banks refused to process payments. Even countries that wanted to buy Venezuelan oil couldn't easily do so because their banks feared American punishment. Venezuela's money became trapped, not by military blockade, but by financial exclusion. Part 6. The future and alternatives. Now, you might be thinking, can't countries just build their own systems? Yes, they're trying. China is developing its own alternative to SWIFT called CIPS, Cross-Border Interbank Payment System. It's growing but still tiny compared to SWIFT. Russia created SPFS, System for Transfer of Financial Messages, after 2014 sanctions, but only a few hundred banks use it. Cryptocurrency enthusiasts argue that Bitcoin and blockchain technology could create truly decentralized finance that no nation controls. But governments are cracking down on crypto, and most people still want traditional money. The problem is the network effect. Think about social media. Facebook is powerful not because it's the best platform, but because everyone is on Facebook. If you want to reach people, you use Facebook. Same with financial infrastructure. SWIFT is powerful because everyone uses SWIFT. Dollars are powerful because everyone accepts dollars. American networks are dominant because they're already built and interconnected. Building an alternative means convincing thousands of banks, millions of businesses, and billions of people to switch. That takes decades. Here's the bigger question. Should any single country have this much power? Some argue America uses this power responsibly to punish bad actors like terrorists, dictators, and human rights abusers. They say it's a force for good. Others argue it's economic imperialism, where America forces its political will on the world without accountability. There's no easy answer, but here's what's undeniable. This is the new battlefield. Wars in the 21st century won't just be fought with tanks and missiles. They'll be fought with sanctions, data control, and financial exclusion. The country that controls the choke points controls the world. Conclusion. So, let's bring this back to where we started. That Russian billionaire with frozen assets? Now you understand how it happened. His bank used SWIFT. SWIFT messages traveled through networks America monitors. His dollars were held in accounts that American authorities could freeze. And when geopolitical tensions rose, his wealth became unreachable with the click of a button. No bombs, no invasion, just control of the infrastructure everyone depends on. This is weaponized interdependence. The invisible war happening right now through the fiber optic cables beneath our feet and the financial networks we use every day. The next time you send money, browse the internet, or buy something online, remember that you're not just using technology, you're participating in a system of power that shapes global politics, economics, and the future of international relations. The question isn't whether this system exists, it does. The question is, what do we do about it? If this video opened your eyes to how the world really works, do me a favor. Hit that like button so more people can discover this critical topic. Subscribe and turn on notifications because we're going to keep exposing the hidden mechanisms of power that nobody talks about. Drop a comment below. What do you think about America's control over global finance? Is it justified or is it a problem? I want to hear your perspective. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one where we explore even deeper into the systems that control our world.